Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Recovery Live. Came to Believe Recovery's weekly live stream where we talk about everything recovery.
Everything,
I'm talking everything recovery
all of it.
and restoration and renewal and self discovery today. It's all going to be great. Um, so, our first big announcement, everybody, is happy birthday, Alicia.
Ah, thank
So,
you.
she's 27 today,
Yeah, no,
and
54. Not
you didn't have to
ashamed.
say it. I wasn't going to give
I
away.
don't care. I've
You
never been more fit and more healthy. Just
well,
getting better.
that's good. I would say the same thing for myself. I've never felt better, but congratulations, and I hope you're having a great day. It's morning there for you right now, so it's just kind of starting.
Yep.
But what better thing to do on your birthday than to come on here and share some thoughts and recovery and discussion here with whoever comes on to listen to us. So we got a couple announcements. What do we got coming up? We have Mocktail Hour. If you're in the New York, New Jersey area, Modern Mocktail Hour tomorrow night, 32 Prince Street in Soho. Soho means south of Houston Street. It's right adjacent to Old St. Patrick's Church, Mulberry Street and Prince is the corner. Come join us. We have mocktails. We have a panel speakers, and it's just a safe sober place, alcohol free, to meet some new people and have some fun for a couple hours, 6 to 8, Soho tomorrow evening. You can go on the website or you could click on that QR code when Cash, you'll probably put it up again and register so we know you're coming.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of people have already RSVP'd. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah. The last one was successful. We had a lot of fun, a lot of great um, feedback from it. And we made some great connections with some other great organizations in New York City that are all working towards helping people to improve their lives from whatever has them in unimprovement, yeah, addictions and all sorts of things. It was a great event. Then we do have a retreat out in San Jose, California, coming up in February. It's a shelter retreat, but we do want to let you know that we're out there doing things. We're going to be in a shelter taking probably 60 or 70 men and women through the steps right inside shelter, guys. We've been doing this with great success in the last couple of years. In March, we're going to be in another shelter up in Portland, Oregon. Then in April, we're going to be at a commuter retreat right here in New York City in Kips Bay. And then in May, we got a few things in the works. We are hoping to be in Nevada City again and in Leesburg. In June, we're going to be in Malibu. So there's a lot going on, guys. Check our website and see what you could come and join.
We have a special guest with us today.
We have a special guest today. Um, and what we're going to be doing today, yes, a very special guest. Our special guest today um, is, well, we could let Sue introduce herself, but Sue Foreman's going to come on and talk with us about self-discovery. Sue was one of the writers of the Legacy Guide. That is the primary workbook that we use taking people through the steps. Sue knew Clarence Snyder. Sue was sponsored by him. And so what great words of wisdom, we can't, it's like the horse's mouth. It's what Clarence told her and Dr. Bob told him, one step away from what they were doing back in the 30s. So we know what was going on. But today we want to talk about self-discovery. We know that as part of recovery, you end up going through that process. But what does that process look like for everybody? And why do we want to do it? What does it matter? Why do we think who knows we need to discover ourselves, right? And what's not working? What makes you decide that you have to discover self-discovery, or what puts you in a process of doing that? We know when you're in addiction, what does it, but what if you're just a regular person and you're going along in your life? and someone says you need some self-discovery, what would you say? Right?
I think everybody needs self-discovery, and we are always learning and transforming. And if we're not, then there's something wrong, and you're going backwards.
But how
That's
intentional are we? Well, without further ado, let's bring Sue Foreman on to join the conversation, and let's dive into self-discovery and what it means for us and what it could mean for you. And maybe we'll give you some good tools and some best practices and some ideas on how you might discover yourself. Hi, Sue.
Hi there. Am I supposed to be the horse's mouth?
You don't like that? It's from the horse's mouth.
Well,
yeah.
it's the better end.
The better end, yeah. Well, when someone says, when we say Clarence said this, we heard it from you.
Oh, right.
We heard it. So you're the actual
So
horse's
definitely
mouth.
it's the horse's mouth.
You say when Clarence
Absolutely.
said it, it's because he said it to you. We say Clarence said it, but you told us he said it, right? It's the whole. Sue still has the earphones with cords on them.
Yes, I do. Well, I decided I could hear better. And the background noise you won't hear. Can you hear me better? With the microphone?
Just fine.
Fine. Okay. Good. Wonderful. Well, I love the topic, really, self-discovery. That's a fabulous. And you told me that was our topic. So I asked Steve, we were driving around this morning to his various doctors. I'm his chauffeur for a month because he can't drive for a month. So, I should have worn my chauffeur hat. I have one over there. I'm going to get it out. But I thought, well, I will just ask Steve Foreman. What about self-discovery? And he had some really interesting responses, even in his I'm recovering from anesthesia situation. So I guess you really get the self answers when he's coming out of anesthesia. So they were good ones.
So can you share the answers?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I was going to say the question. You remember when we were in school that the smart kids were the ones that knew the answers?
Right.
But then after you graduate, you find out that the smart ones are the ones that know the right questions.
Mm.
Is that true?
That's true.
So the question that really is self-discovery, why bother, I'm just fine. Who is it that really has the time or the energy to do it? And why would they? What would motivate anyone to try to look for something else besides what they see right in front of them or what they do every minute and what they're moved to do? So I think those are really wonderful questions that you posed. And I did pose it to Steve, and I was interested in his answers. But I didn't want to tell his answer until we had time to really form a well done question to help us and to help our listener think. Where? How about this one? Because this is what I said after he gave me the definition. He gave me the good old Steve Foreman dictionary kind of answer. I said, good. Now close your eyes, Steve, and which I didn't have to say because he can hardly see. It's coming out of anesthesia. He's just, his eyes haven't.
They're dilating?
I think so. He just, so you need to close them. But where is, when we're looking for character defects of character, where's your character and where's your self? He liked that question. Said, where is it in your body? Where can you feel the self and where's your character? So what do you think, Tom?
And are we saying that those two are different?
We are trying to figure out if it feels different. To him, it definitely felt different. And that's what surprised me, because I thought he was just going to do the synonym thing, the verbal. But he really said they definitely felt different to him. The essential self, the self. And then he pondered selfish. Where was selfish? Well, he left that alone. But the essence of who I am versus the character. And he came up with something. So I asked him, where is it in his body? Does it feel like it's in those things reside differently in yours?
I think for me, self has a physical element to it. Yourself, it certainly has a expressive element to it, but myself shows up. I'm here as myself. This person who has a physical makeup, right? Self. But then my character is what is displayed. I then bring my character to the table with myself. But who's coming? Well, I'm just coming myself. I'm just bringing who I am, and then my character is what will interact then with whatever the situation. That's kind of my high level answer.
And that comes out of your feeling, because that's where you went. You said the self kind of feels like it's coming from the inside out.
Right.
And the character seems to be the out.
Right. I think. Yeah.
Alicea?
I'm confusing myself right now.
Speaking of self.
I'm confusing. I would think that both of them kind of get jumbled in my ego of what I want people to see myself. And I don't let that out, because if I was really truthful, that is unworthiness, is how I feel deep down. That's the root. So my character is going to reflect what I feel other people want to see and what they think they see. And then me knowing that that's a lie, that's myself, I think, is that stuff I'm withholding from everybody. And I work on this all day long, every day, step 10 all the time. And I think I overanalyze, but that's the space I live in, like, all the time.
And so the ego, you're throwing in that ego, which is very important to throw that in. But it sounded almost similar, that yourself has some with inside things you're not necessarily sharing with anybody. It feels very private inside. And then the character is what you want people to see. Mm-hmm. So that's similar, isn't it? So when we're talking about our defects of character in step 4, and then we say in step 10 that we revisit that every time we feel we're wrong, we promptly admit it. And then that admission really seems to be, did I do that?
Yeah.
I think you did with your computer. That was pretty cool.
The computer is another one of these thumbs up things.
Don't move your hands.
Yeah, something will happen.
Oh, I am a spirit that lives in a body that has a soul. As from Dale, yeah. So we're throwing in spirit, body, soul, ego, self, and character. It's amazing how quickly it expanded into our vocabulary. And this is only in English.
Right.
And how many of the words that were spoken by Jesus were different names that were translated to the inadequate English? We don't know. But we feel it still. And I think what Dale was just saying, that the other thing is, in our steps, we ask for a higher power to come into our hearts. So that resides somewhere very close to maybe our authentic self. But it's not necessarily our character. So in this, our title, self-discovery, if we're going to answer the question, we really have to define a much more thorough question. I think we're moving in that direction. Self-discovery, meaning how do we get past what we present to the outside, which we've just sort of tentatively named character. Character is almost like if we're living inside a bubble and we have those geodesic domes of that bubble, each one of those triangles or hexagons is a particular behavior or belief or something, and that we place them around us, and that's our character that we have built. Some of it we had to really reinforce because of trauma to ourselves, to our souls, to our ego, all of that, which is, the ego is really what we have to protect so that we don't get wounded by those things that make it through into our authentic selves. Some of them are already there. Thinking the self-worth you were mentioning, I'm not good enough, I'm spoiled, I've been ruined, something happened to me, some trauma, I'll never be the same, I can't be, I don't know. I think about myself, 70% of us have ACEs scores above 4 out of 10. 70%. I have a 6.5. I gave myself just a half for one of them because it was my mother chasing my dad with a knife instead of the reverse. So I only gave myself a half. But we have that trauma to ourself, and we build the character to protect ourselves from it. So I don't know where the ego is in on that. I think the ego really is the guardian, or maybe it's the glue. What is the ego in our metaphor?
And then, I've read that you put in personality, and character and personality are not the same thing. Self, and you have a personality. And does the character define the personality, or does your personality speak to your character? And then your identity.
I was just going to say, then the identity is there.
What's your true identity? And your identity is not your personality or your character. Mm-hmm. Your identity is your identity is defined by your character and then displayed through your personality.
That's good.
So
it's also a person,
and none of it is really the essence of who you are.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's how you've adapted to whatever it is, and how you're reacting and acting against how you were raised and how you've been programmed, and your epigenetics are turned on and off, and your thought processes and how everything's going has formed you into this identity that has a character that then comes out in your personality. Because they say, like, your personality, you could be someone who is doesn't like snow, right? So your character is, I don't like cold and I don't like snow. It's part of your identity. I'm not this. My character is going to be everything against snow, but it comes out by you and me. I am very verbal. I hate snow. It's terrible, cold. So Alicea doesn't say anything. She's quiet, but she still hates snow. And she just kind of quietly moves through her personality will display the same thing, but differently.
Yeah.
So the character trait could be the same. We both hate cold and snow, but my personality is going to display it to you differently.
Mm-hmm. And emotional maturity, where does that go?
Emotional maturity. Well,
yeah.
We went from self-discovery right deep into,
Well, what about the fact of, like, well, the Bible says I'm a child of God, even if I don't feel like it, even if I'm not acting like it. And then that comes into like act or fake it till you make it, or fake it till you become it.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that play into it? Of like, we are children of God.
Mm-hmm.
So then I can strive for that. And how would a child of God act in this situation? And then
Mm-hmm.
that would hopefully get me to learn how to act differently, or work on a certain trait, or go to a meeting if I need to, call my sponsor, do 10, 11, and 12, all those tools,
Mm-hmm.
right,
But,
plays
yeah,
into
it
that.
plays, but the main, I think that what you're alluding to is that if we know that our character is something that was created that was not actually us, then we can change that, because that's a construct. Our character may be expressed with the personality, as Tom said.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is not supposed to be bothering me, excuse me, because I am on do not disturb, but you can't hear it, can you?
You can.
Oh, shoot. So sorry.
You can. So which one of our...
That was Doug. My son, who has custody of Steve right this minute.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So I think I was in the middle of something very interesting. Does anybody remember where I was?
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to think. Oh, I know. The main thing of what you said, Alicea, is that you're going to the behaviors and things. But I think the treasure here is that if we know that our character is built by the trauma that Tom was talking about, then that we can absolutely change by the things you were talking about, Alicea.
Mm-hmm.
But if it is the essence of who we are, then the behaviors might be different. They might. Would they be different? No, because I think Jesus said you can be in Christ. You're a new person. I think you can change it all. But just like doing the landscaping or the plumbing, and I think that maybe the things we have to do might look different, because we're really working on two different levels. The character, once you know that you have created this character in order to either express or protect the essence of who you are, your soul, then you know that that's absolutely changeable. And then what do you do? What do you do? If you understand what you're trying to fix, it will absolutely clarify what you need to do. But if you go to the 90 days, 90 meeting,
90?
if you can say, well, if you do this, this, and this without knowing what you're trying to fix, it doesn't feel like it's going to focus on what needs to change.
Well,
so how do people
help
know?
me. What did I say?
Well, we say, I know what you're saying, Sue. What we say it has to come from some brokenness, some destruction, some trauma, some stress, some place where you're in a place where you're hurting enough, there's suffering enough at whatever level that you're willing to say, I just can't be this way, right? They say until the hurt you're in is worse than the hurt of the change, there's no change. So, but then you have to identify it. And I'm hurting because of this. Because I'm this person, or I'm this way because of this. But until you draw the line that that's a liability in my life, right? You're never going to do anything about it. So it's what I will say in our steps. We say, I'm dishonest, I'm resentful, and I live in fear. Until you decide that living that way isn't any good, you won't do anything about it. You can say, yeah, I'm a resentful person. I'm angry at everybody. But if you want that and own that, you won't do anything about it.
Mhm.
And if dishonesty is working for you, I'm dishonest. It's how I work. I lie, cheat, and steal, and that's how I get through life. It's working fine. You won't do anything about it. So you're right. Once you decide that there's something that needs to be changed, now you can work towards it. Now there's at least an opening to allow for change.
So how does somebody come to that realization? Right? It takes a lot of honesty and integrity on our behalf.
I think it takes courage, almost more than honesty, because I think some people, the childhood trauma, the depth of the wounds are so dangerous and life-threatening. They were life-threatening when they happened, and they feel life-threatening until they are healed. I don't think you have to know what they are, but I think if you know how you're behaving, and let's say I'm using and I'm losing friends and I'm blowing up and I'm shopping and my house is a mess and I'm a hoarder and all that, you can turn around and say, I think maybe I built something wrong back there in my youth in order to protect myself. So that's, I think, what Tom's saying, that there's got to be something that says things are not working for me. And then the courage comes, because it's hard to be honest when you don't know what it is. So I'll honestly say that my desk is always a mess and I'd just love to be more organized. But the courage comes by saying there must be something in my thought processes and in my understanding of the world that would keep me from taking an hour to put things away every day. What happens between the constructive behavior and the results that I'm looking for? I want it. I want to be sober. I want to have good relationships with my children, grandchildren, spouses, and friends. But what is it that makes me turn away from them, to turn on them when they say something I don't like, to reject them if they say something I don't believe? Why? What would make me do that? So that's where the honesty comes, because you've got to say, it's me. It's something in here. It's not them.
But let's go to your desk, right?
Okay.
So your desk,
I am.
You don't want to do it. It's not something you care about. You see, you have other things in life. We've prioritized the desk. It's working. It's just it's good enough, right? You think. And so you're right. So I'm not going to do anything about it, even though you say to yourself, I wish I had a desk that was really nice and organized. But there just isn't enough pain yet for you. And it's working. You can make it work until the day you can't find the piece of paper.
You're coming, and I say, right. I'm going to throw it all in the box.
Or you can't find this piece of paper.
Yes.
That's life and death. And it's something, and you draw the line that it's because of my disorganized desk that I couldn't find this paper. And this cost me too much. That's it. I've got to change the pace. Right.
When it costs.
So, I mean, I think that's in all of our lives. These people, they drink it. Maybe it's drunk driving. All of a sudden, this has cost me too much. I've lost my wife left me. It's cost me too much. I've lost my job. You know, I went to jail.
Sometimes it's big. Sometimes it's narrow.
It's big, right? And sometimes it's not as big.
Yeah.
But
now put that thing Dale put up again. I think that's it was a big flash. Cass. He learned an important lesson about my personal trauma that explained my feelings today. That's just that much right there. It's so important to know that he's been open for a very long time to figure out how his trauma is affecting himself right this minute. He's and he watches a TV show, evidently, according to that little clip, and he sees something maybe in a drama that reminds him of something that was very painful. And he is relating it to how he's feeling today. And it feels like that would be one of those plates in this character shield that we've built.
Mm-hmm.
And something gets inside and says, oh, that one probably isn't the right color. I think I'll just change that one into being a little more transparent. Or maybe I'll just put lace on it. You know, I'm going to just change that particular thing that I made that's part of my character. And why? Because I don't really like that. And the reason I have it is because I made it when I was 7. And it was not right then. I'm going to fix it. Now that's character changing. But the essence of the person who is courageous enough to know to look, that seems physically in a different place to me. It's like watching yourself. You know, if you can step back and look at yourself. And who is it back there with you? So we say, ask a higher power to be there with you all the time. That's 10. 10, you ask a higher power to show you where you're wrong. Isn't that right?
That's right.
And so he's sitting there watching TV, and something happens. I hope someday we'll hear the rest of that story, but not here.
Yeah.
And then he wrote down, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. So it never happens when you're doing the 4th step. Rarely no way you can say you're doing it when you're 30 years old. You cannot capture 30 years of decisions and revelations that have come into your head in the 4th step. But you set up a pattern so that in 10, you're watching TV and you're open to it because you have given up, you have surrendered this construct, which is your character, to be rebuilt by the wisdom that is coming out of your relationship with a higher power. Your God is giving you the power to carry it out. The power to carry out in 10 is the power to sit there watching TV and to feel courageous enough to relate to something that happened that was horrible, that you never want to think about. And oh my gosh, when somebody stands there with their hands on their hips, it reminds me of this woman that beat me, who always stood with her hands on her hips. It has nothing to do with the hands on her hips. It's have everything to do with that. I think I'll change this thing out here. And you redecorate that part, which is character. You can rebuild that character. Thank you, Dale.
Mm.
I'm intrigued by the little things in our characters and the little things that we're all frustrated by, that we wish we did better, and why we don't do them. And what then pushes us to do these seemingly little things. This is my silly little thing, is I have a sock drawer and I just throw all the socks in, not put together. And every other day I'm frustrated because I can't find 2 that match. And all I would need to do is put them together when I put them away. I know it. I'm talking to you about it. And I go home. I've spoken as I'm doing it. Look, I should put these together because I'm going to be frustrated. And I still put them in the drawer all in one thing. I haven't drawn enough pain out of it. But it's kind of like your desk, or it's kind of like the messy garage, or it's kind of like whatever the refrigerator that still has a ton of stuff in it.
Or your real pathological hoarder.
Yeah.
It's the same. Right. It's just a little fractal. You do it bigger, you do it small.
But there's things in our lives that we do really well and we focus on it. And we have all these little, what do you call it? I don't know, peccadillos, these little things that we know better about. Like we can do it. You could have a clean, organized desk. You're smart, perfect. It could be perfect. And when you do it, you'll love it and it'll be that way forever. and I'll do this one day. But why and what's going to push me? And there's a few other things in my life. So that I
Why?
do.
Why do you not? I mean, why do you find it hard? That's the question you're saying. Why do you find that hard?
Right.
And thank you notes, for instance.
Oh yeah.
I find thank you notes absolutely excruciating. And some people just whip them off. My friend Sue Fenstermaker, she just drains no energy out of her whatsoever. I mean, I'm dyslexic. I don't spell well. I know about the physiological and mental part of it, but I don't, the embarrassment of sending something off that's spelled wrong. It must be linked to something that was excruciating in the second grade. I don't know.
Yeah. So why is, right, here's the thing. Why, if you went in my room, the bed's made perfectly, the pillows are placed perfectly, the nightstands are balanced, there's nothing on anything, and everything's clean and orderly and everything is squared. But when you open the sock drawer, none of the socks are together.
Yes. Isn't that interesting?
Right? I haven't drawn to that line, although I am, whenever I have, even one for a while, like if I've traveled and I've rolled them or something and they're together and they're much easier to get, I quickly notice, well, that was easy. I should just do that every time. I think it has to do with the amount of time being spent, because I find laundry and folding clothes, I've designed it as a menial task. I've defined it as something that I don't get that doesn't add to my life, whatever it is, an ADD thing, who knows what it is in a Tom character. But mindless projects like that, I'm telling you what I think about it, not right or wrong.
Yeah, right.
I just can't bring myself to do this menial task, that 15 minutes. I need to play guitar. I'm willing to search for the socks at the moment because that's going to buy me 15 minutes at the guitar, or my 100 push-ups, which right now are a higher priority.
Mm-hmm.
So I think so it's not like I don't even know. I can't tell you how many times a week I go, I should do it. Here I go again. I can't find these socks. I do this every time. Then I find them and forget it and move on. Anyway.
But the beauty of this is that we're talking about self-discovery.
Right.
And we're finding that it's rarely, we never discover things on the grand scale. We discover things on these ridiculous scales of toothpaste, socks, desk.
Yeah. So, it might say to me, Tom, I need to grow in detail orientation. There's a level of detail orientation that is important, but not urgent. It's not in the crisis zone, as my friend Ryan would call it. It's not in zone 1. It's
and where's the line of those little things? Because I have plenty. When it's like, whatever, I don't care. And I don't want to be a perfectionist, because then if I fix that, then I have to fix this. And then
well, there you go.
That's another problem.
Right.
So
right.
Because I'm like in my head right now, I'm like, I could coach him. I know what to say. We read Atomic Habits. I can help him with those songs.
Right.
But why?
Yeah.
I mean,
but then, right, I'm obsessive, and do I now not take the phone call to help another addict? Do I not do my 2 minutes with Tom, which just seems to be helping, or people are at least reading it? But right, I mean, I think, and maybe we want to be, I just don't want to be that perfect. I think, Alicia, you hit on something. I just want to fight the idea that could be obsessive to us, to just go nuts with all that and then spend so much time on these things that may or may not matter.
Right.
In the big picture. I think you're on.
And that you made that bed, and you've done a lot of things that are maintenance. So we really want to know why we pick one thing and don't another.
Yeah,
probably, you don't have any dishes in your sink either, probably. So
never.
Never. That takes a little more time.
Yeah, but it's the outward appearance. That is, Sue, When you walk in the
Ah,
house, your house is in order. The drawer you can't see. See,
yeah.
it's in order because the drawer's closed, right? So you walk in the room and it's in order till you
Whether it
open the
takes,
drawer.
whether you can't find that sock or not, it doesn't really matter as long as it looks good on the outside. Yeah.
Right. So
He needs, I know what he needs. He needs a wife to fold his socks. Then that could be her job. And then you
Yeah.
could do the things that she doesn't want to do, right?
Mhm. But the
um,
pixie socks and the
yeah,
underwear is probably right. But you know what you might do is wonder is were you forced to do laundry when you weren't supposed didn't want to? Did somebody embarrass you about that? Or you know, just you go
well,
looking for those, and if there is something in there that pops into your mind, or you recognize sometime 5 years from now when you're watching a movie, you'll say, oh, that's why that socks were the thing and not my shaving cream and not the, you know, there it's just happened to be socks for some reason. And then you say, oh, socks. Well, then you say, I'm not going to do the socks now because it takes too long. Or you're going to say, oh, it's that whole emotional thing around socks that causes some kind of a cortisone thing. And how silly, I could fold them when I take them out of the dryer just as easy. Save me a lot of time looking for them. And I think I can do that now. But there's a reason you picked socks. And it is so unimportant. You don't have to go looking for it. But you have now in your temporal lobe up here, you have a little antenna that says, someday there's going to come up something that's going to remind me about why I have this thing about socks. And I'm going to say, oh, that's why I hate doing
and it's
socks.
and
And
here
and then you pick whether you want to do it or not. But that gives you the freedom to pick.
and my t-shirts. Let's go. We're really going out on the table here with Tom's stuff.
Your
Um,
t-shirts are perfect.
Perfectly folded. Perfect.
There you go.
Squares, the t-shirts.
Perfectly, not
And
just casually, but perfectly.
perfectly folded. Yeah, they
There you go.
all aligned and they're in the drawers perfectly.
And how does this all relate to addiction?
Or self-discovery or
Yes.
character or
Or
personality.
character?
And how does this all lead to our being successful in life?
Yeah.
In whatever we're successful in life.
Because Alicia said you got to be honest, and I said you got to have courage to go look for honest answers, and then we ended up on my desk, and then it's in your sock drawer.
Right? But what it brings to light is that I think people think themselves terrible people because they have various different little things. For some reason, like we're talking about, they just can't move on to the next level to fix it. And
Right.
I do think there are people that with a desk that's not in order, they work just fine that way. They took some of the most brilliant people in the world of the messiest desks you've ever seen. Then we get to this, is it a requirement to be organized and successful having an organized desk?
Or a clean desk.
Or a clean desk? Is it?
That's the question, right?
Right.
For you,
I mean,
it could be, and who are we to judge other people, I guess? But I do.
So, right. So where do we let those little things obsess us because of people pleasing or somebody said, when maybe it does or doesn't actually, because of our self-discovery, and we looked at why we are how we are, just like you're saying, Sue. I'm going to see it someday. Why do I do this? And I might find that it's just fine that I do what I do.
That's right.
And let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need to change a thing.
Well, what about people, me, of like having the perfect desk and the perfect house, and my things are color coordinated in my closet, and so is my husband's because it is. But then I'm not dealing with pride or judgment and all this stuff, but I'm working on this stuff. So I think we can look at ourselves and see where we're doing that too.
Yes.
Because I go to church, I'm in a life group, I have 2 sponsors, and I go to meetings. That's where and I allow people to tell me, like,
Yeah.
We need people to speak into us and say, Alicea, what's up? What's going on? You're a little off. And I think if we isolate or don't have a sponsor or don't go to meetings, then we can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
And then we just swirl and wonder why my life sucks. And if we don't do step 10 and 11 and 12, then we're really on our road to relapse.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's how it all ties together. We need people to tell us. Like,
I think the socks and the desk were metaphors.
They're metaphors, right?
That was just a metaphor for the things that you're talking about now, that the obsessions, and these are the drawers that we keep our obsessions in. Our isms in.
Right. It's self-discovery is a look at all of this. Right. At least remember, it's not perfection, it's progress. And it's a process that I don't think I would have honestly done. Why do I make my bed and not do the sock drawer? Why am I very disciplined at the gym and not at here? But we're asking the question I wouldn't have asked 20 years ago.
Bingo.
So, right.
Right.
Does it need to be addressed? Why am I this way? I've given myself some latitude. Alicia's got everything color coded, and she does. But yet she's out of control in a couple other things she'll tell you, because she just said it. Right? But she said, I'm out of control in it. Isn't that half of the battle?
Yeah.
Is defining that she's drawn the line, like we said at the beginning, to this is not a good thing in my life. And then progress, not perfection, working towards making it. But I think Alicea and Sue and Tom, because we have put so much in order correctly and has done such to bring success and to bring peace and serenity and a freedom to our lives, we have hope that these other things will move that way too.
Right. A path of 1,000 meters begins with one step.
Right.
If you can do that one, you can do the second. And that's...
What does Atomic Habits say?
Got hope.
1% change. Just move the needle. And down the road, if you shoot a gun and it's off by half a degree, it's not visible even at the barrel to see, but at 300 yards, you've missed the target by 50 feet. Same thing as if you bring that barrel over 1 degree, you've just hit the target. So the same thing in our habits in life. We change one little thing, and down the road, all of a sudden we're hitting all the targets. Maybe I fold 1 pair of socks this time. Just 1 pair, I put them together. Next time I do it. Because how much hassle is that? Then next time I do laundry, I do 2. So that
more. Don't overload yourself. Just do the 2. Yes.
Maybe that's Atomic Habits, right, Alicea? That's making a change.
Yeah. And then the book says too, or a podcast maybe on the book says, like, then your brain will say, well, I already did 2. I might as well do 5. Because you're already doing it. It's that first step that is the hardest. Going to the gym, getting your workout done. That's the hard part.
And if 10 pairs of socks takes me 5 minutes to put together, what I got to find is the 2 minutes it takes me to find them every day
to do equal to 10.
All of a sudden, it is less time, right? It's how we do these things. It's crazy. And it's like anything else. It's Sue at your desk. You spend 8 minutes looking for this piece of paper. You're frustrated. When you find it, you can find it in 1 second because it's in a file someplace that you got.
I have a system. Yeah.
And with a systems, then all of a sudden you realize whatever I thought I was saving for something else by just throwing it on the desk, instead of taking 2 more minutes to find it, I pay 4 minutes trying to, it's like, guys, I hope you're not getting stuck on these metaphors we're using and big pictures in life. Because if you throw it onto stuff like pride and judgment and ego, like we can talk about too, and resentment and things in our lives that do drive us down a bad road with major consequences. It's the same.
Like telling a lie. You know, you might say a lie and know that you've just said one. And then you would say, oh, I'm not going to fix that one, but I'm not going to do it again. But then you want to say, well, why did I need to do that? So that's that courage to look down for the real source of why you had to do it. And the more you understand why you just chose to do that lie, the less you'll just fall into it next time. And then you might just say, no, I think I'll just go ahead and tell the truth. In that nanosecond, when someone says, did you recycle that gift? And you want to say, oh, no, I bought it just for you. It'll go, yeah, of course I did recycle it. I recycled it just for you. It doesn't take much. That was like not even 2 seconds to make that decision. But once you understand that you just committed to always telling the truth, it's going to get back on that target.
You know, we take it right back, guys. If you're listening to the 12 steps that we teach, we're teaching you a process in steps 1 through 9 that help with self-discovery. And then that lead us into a daily process that allows us to catch that lie and then not tell it the next day, because we quickly see the consequence of it. And we've also made a commitment to not live that way. And we have a power greater than ourselves at 10, 11, and 12. I think, guys, the 3 of us are working our 10, 11, and 12. And if we're doing it, we're going to just keep getting better. And we're going to keep working it. But what a gift it was to get this process that we can now use in our lives, that we all see every day. I was talking to someone this morning about leaving the house every day with the intention of doing a random act of kindness. And it turning outward from myself. And growing and growing and growing. All across all the spectrums, from everything that each of us have identified today, every single one of them are solvable on a minute or 5 years from now. Imagine when we come back next week, you know, and you know now, because I'm a little bit obsessive, I'm going home and doing the socks. I've had enough of it. Like, this might have been my turning point.
I was tempted to work on my desk for a few minutes.
I'm going to go home and fix them all this afternoon, because I've had it. You know, like, almost talking this through has had my brain walk through. I'm done with this. I don't want to spend an hour talking about it. It's, you know, right? Whatever. A metaphor. Whatever. All right, guys. Thanks so much for being on the show, Self-Discovery. Love talking to all you guys. I think it was great today. I don't know if anyone else listened to us, but we certainly had fun talking to each other.
It's working. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Right. And
bye, guys.
We'll see you again next week, right here at 9 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and 6 p.m. in the UK on Recovery Live. Have a great rest of your week, folks. See you.
Bye.
Bye.